So many people are making their transition only as a last-ditch thing. And here's what we mean by this. Most people stop reaching for alignment, stop being the connected beings that they really are almost as soon as they are born. They stay with us. This will make sense in just a minute here. Most people come into physical experience as pure positive energy, and then that alignment begins eroding as they find things to fuss and worry about. And so, as we were talking with a friend earlier, they have resistance that they don't know they have, so they don't do anything about it, and then they have more resistance and they don't do anything about it until before long they are still in physical form, but they are a mere shadow of who they really are. And then the way most people leave this physical experience is they just pinch off their well-being chronically enough and steadily enough that they finally get uncomfortable enough that then when they leave, their friends don't say, "Oh, what a surprise." They say, "Well, it was expected." They say, "Well, it wasn't a shock," or something awful. They say, "It was really a blessing." And we say, some of you as teachers come forth to say, when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. In other words, you don't have to pinch the life out of your body through resistance. Sometimes, you see, the death experience has been misunderstood by almost all humans. When you really don't like someone, you give them the death penalty. Imagine that, death and penalty, used in the same sentence, meaning the same thing. The ultimate punishment that we can give you is death. And we say, really, it'd be much meaner to just keep them alive and make them watch television. But so you associate death with something not wanted, and you start warning each other early, watch out, that could kill you, watch out, that could kill you, watch out, that could kill you, not understanding that the death experience is the ultimate re-emerging into non-physical, that it's the ultimate closing of the gap, that it's the ultimate allowing myself to be all that I have become through all that I've lived now, you see. And so when you realize that what it really is, and then you start thinking about what components are present when people have their death experience. So sometimes, as with anything, Jerry and Esther were commenting the other day that they rarely hear something that they used to hear a lot, and that was, he died peacefully in his sleep. You just almost never hear that anymore. And yet, it really is what they're planning. In other words, an occasional car nearly runs over the two of them, and but what they are really intending is just all creation is the same thing. In other words, you focus upon who you are or who you've become, achieve vibrational alignment with it, and become a vibrational match to it. And so why should your death experience be anything other than that? And yet, when people die, almost all people say something has gone wrong in this death experience, especially if it happens earlier than they want it. So then what commonly happens is people don't allow themselves to reemerge into non-physical because they've got this contradictive vibration going on. In other words, sometimes they're finished with life, they're not reaching for more, but they are not ready to die either because they have beliefs that say, I'm not ready, or I haven't struggled enough, or I haven't suffered enough. And so a lot of people associate when it is a common thing for someone to sit in the chair talking about someone who has died, and they want to know what went wrong, because death they see as an extension of resistance. And we have sort of been helpers along that line of thought when we say, if you've got resistance and you don't notice it, don't worry, it will get bigger. And if you still don't notice it, don't worry, it will get bigger. And if you don't notice it, don't worry, it will get bigger until eventually a truck will run over you or something will take you out. In other words, because those kinds of death experiences are often evidence of resistance. There was strong wanting, but strong resistance that erupted in that being the most logical, next logical step. But there are many who reemerge into non-physical, not because they are in a state of resistance, but because that is where they are setting their intention, and reemerging into the non-physical is the path of least resistance. In other words, it's the place that they want to be. In the same way that someone might be setting the goal for a raise or an improved empire or an improved bodily condition, there are many who reach the place where they want enlightenment and they want to catch up with who they are, and they're no longer enlivened by what's going on in this physical experience. But in either case, in other words, your friend reemerged into non-physical because there was powerful desire and plenty of resistance. In other words, that was what was going on there. We just don't want you to assume that that's always what's going on in the death experience. And we never want you to assume that the death experience is anything other than the blissful reemerging and combining and closing the gap with who you really are. You just have to soften this subject, because every one of you, and every one of you that every one of you knows, is going to have that closing of the gap, reemerging into non-physical experience. It's what you came in knowing would happen, because you came into this life experience for the benefit of the focus that it provides for you. So one of two things happens. Either it no longer provides focus, which causes you to expand, or there's so much that it causes you to expand to that you don't let yourself go, or the third option is what we're always encouraging. You reach the place where that is what you intend. In other words, how nice it is to say one day, this life has been so satisfying to me, and there is nothing about it now that is really ringing my bells. I have sifted through it, and I have discovered it, and I have found what I wanted from it, and now I'm ready to reemerge and become the full being that I am, and really get up to speed with all that this life has brought me, and then I will have another experience. What a wonderful way to reemerge into non-physical. And then just put yourself in your bed with a smile on your face, acknowledging the perfection of your life and the wholeness of who you are, and then just reemerge into the wholeness of that which you are. Esther has no fear of death whatsoever, because she lives it every time she comes and allows Abraham to pour through her in this way. She completely reemerges into the wholeness of all that she is, her inner being and all who are gathered there. And we promise you, in the death experience, you don't have a moment of lapse of awareness of who you are. You don't have any sense of loss or lack. It's that you just become this super consciousness that is you. More alive, more in love, more worthy, more knowing of who you are, more in the vortex, you see. So sometimes good friends please themselves with that experience at inopportune seeming times in order to evoke questions from those they love that will allow them longer, more delicious life experience in their physical bodies.
So when they pass, it's very possible that they are still helping us, aiding us?
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I
In other words,
felt
they're in your vortex, but
Yeah.
in order for you to be aware of them, you've got to be in the vortex. So you know how you'll be moving along and something will occur to you that your friend always said.
Right.
That's him.
Yeah. I see his car all the time.
It often it often comes in musical phrases, or often in musical phrases.
Yeah. Another friend is experiencing that same thing.
So there is no death, and there need be no separation.
Sure.
But here's the big thing we want to lay on you.
Okay.
When it feels like there is a separation, it's not because they are the dearly departed. It's because you are. You are vibrationally departed from the vortex, where who you really are is, and where all that they now are is.
It feels that way.